the Jenkins itself is inaccessible. These are the two possibilities which was been uh, causing like not able to access the Jenkins service from outside of the VM. Okay, so this is the one. And once I've just logged in, it will ask you to the username and password. So just you can give that. Okay. So this IP address will be keep on changing based on the network that you reconnect most of the times. Okay. You just mindful about it. First thing is first log into the admission and then a VM and then find the IP and then access it. Okay. This is one way of doing things. Another way is now in this one, right? There are two aspects. As a DevOps person, the people look at you or people look at the DevOps person related to the Jenkins in two ways. One is that particular DevOps person should be able to write pipelines and he should be able to access, he should be able to well versed with the pipelines. That is the first one. Second one is the administrative part of the Jenkins. The administrative part means especially taking the backup of the Jenkins. What if the Jenkins goes down? How we can recover it? And can we copy the build? Can we copy the build of? Can we copy the Jenkins entire directory? How we can import and export? So the maintenance part will come under the administration part. Okay, the DevOps person need to know basics or at least something related to the Jenkins administration part, especially the creating users, backupping it, troubleshooting, and all this information we need to know. And the second aspect is meaning, which is the first one is writing the pipelines. Okay, so there are multiple pipelines that we can write it. There are, we'll call it as a jobs here, but in general, let me show you here itself. Okay, if you see here, these many pipelines or these many jobs that you need to create here, but except the first one, remaining all are related to the pipelines. Of course, nothing, everything is a pipeline. Only the difference is you are calling this as a job. Why? You providing an option to write a pipeline in the name of job. So you just need to job, my first job. Okay, my first job here. FYRST, my first job here, which is a type of a freestyle project. What exactly the freestyle here is? This is basically you can define your own steps. Own steps means you can include what from which source code management tool you have to clone it, like a GitHub, you can clone it. What are all the steps which involves in your project, like compiling MEN, compile it. After cloning, you can MEN compile it. Then after compiling it, you would be using MEN build. MEN build, after MEN build, you would be using MEN package it. This is for the packaging it. And the last phase is for the publishing the result itself. So you can do all, or in between, you can do anything. Even in between of these steps, you can execute some other shell script, or you can execute another job. So you can, it's like a freestyle. Freestyle means you can include any of the steps in any time. But in case of other things, right, there is a specific way or there is a specific steps you have to follow. You can't include some other things in between. That is the major difference between the freestyle project and remaining the pipelines. Again, pipelines will also two types. One is a declarative pipeline, another one is a scripting pipeline. Okay, these are the two major pipelines that you would be writing. We will talk more about when we are talking about the pipelines also here. But in a glance, what I can tell you is, yeah, yes, yes. I'll just show you the sample part of it. Okay, yeah. And a very layman term, what you need to do is, in a declarative pipeline, you have to write a pipeline like this. Okay, you need to start with the pipeline block. Okay? Pipeline This is the pipeline block. In the pipeline block, you have to define the next thing is which agent you want to run. It can be anything. Why? What does it mean is you are declaring it. Declaring it means you are declaring and then using it. Okay, you are everything you are declaring. Why you need to include agent here is because the job by default, as if you remember, we talked about Jenkins master and slave in configuration part, right? Here in the agent, I mean, by default, whatever the jobs that we do create in Jenkins, that will be run on the agent. Okay, agent by default, because there is no agent in, I mean, there is no agent has been configured. That's why we mentioned agent part of here. If we have configured the master slave architecture of the Jenkins, then you need to specify which agent that you want to be run this particular pipeline. For example, I do have a slave 1, slave 2, and slave 3. If I do have some slaves like this, I need to specify, okay, please run this pipeline at the slave 1 or slave 2 or slave 3. Since we do not have any of the slaves configured, you just need to mention any because we do not have. What if you don't mention this at all? Your pipeline won't run it because this is a declarative pipeline, okay? And then you would be defining the stages. I'll talk about, I mean, I know we are going in depth, we don't require it right now, so we will just do sometimes, but just simple, right? In a declarative pipeline, they would be, you have to define everything and then use it. But in case of a scripted pipeline, you just define the steps or phases. That's it. That is only the difference. And there are some other differences also here. If you see here, meaning, so if you take something like this here, right, you would be finding most of the things also here. I'll show you the one of the pipelines that I have written for one of the microservice architecture, which will be deploying at the some of the remote missions. We will see that, no issues. Again, which involves the Docker, Compose, and other things also here. Okay. Now where are we? Okay. Now we are talking about this, right? We will talk in depth when we are talking or when we are creating a job or dealing with each and individual job here. But as a glimpse, a freestyle project that we will be starting, which will help us to add the different steps or different phases in between. We will talk that as well. So this is my job name, which is a type of a freestyle here. We will talk other things also. So now I just clicked OK, and it's asking me other information related to some of the, informations like, this is since it is a freestyle jobs, there are only few things: general configuration steps, source code management, build triggers, build environment, build steps, and post build actions. Okay, these are the steps or these are the phases that in your freestyle jobs includes. Let me compare with the how the declarative could be like this. Okay, script here. You have a build stage, test stage, deploy stage. There are 3 stages here. But in Jenkins, right, if you write your pipeline like this, I mean, if you write the pipeline, if you write any of the declaring only 3 options here: build, test, and deploy. But in the Jenkins pipeline, we do have almost 6 phases here. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you just write only a scripted or declarative pipeline defined like this, you would see the UI only 3 options. Like, what are those? Build, test, and deploy here. Okay, since it's a Jenkins which are pre-populated by the Jenkins server itself. Let's see what each phase contains. One more thing, guys. Here is one more interview question. The interviewer may ask questions like, if you really know the Jenkins, how it will work, or at least how do you how do you create kind of information from interviewee. They will ask you, can you explain me what are the steps that you do follow while creating a job? You can start telling, sir, under the dashboard you can under the dashboard you can click on new item. While creating a new item, you would give your job name and select the type of the pipeline that you want to create. For example, freestyle. Select the freestyle, and once you click on freestyle, it will land you to the page of creating a job. Creating a job definition. The job definition contains these many phases like general, source code management setting, build triggers, build environments, build steps, and post build actions. You have to explain the process. How did you create this particular job? Okay, this is important also. Okay, now let me complete of all this. This is my first Jenkins job, and this is related to GitHub project. If it is not a GitHub project, you can uncheck it and you can select the parameterized job. I'll tell you what does it mean by the parameterized. It is an advanced something, because right, we have given this, right? If someone has want to trigger this, the job that we are going to create, right, they can use this URL and hit it. That's it. I think you might have heard about the API testings, or you might know how the API will work. You would just install the Postman and then hit this particular API and then provide all the information as an input also if required. Similarly, if someone want to trigger this particular my first job from an external system, for example, it can be a GitHub, or it can be from your another project, or it can be from another Jenkins job. What they do is they will just trigger this post call and then hit it. That's it. For example, if this particular project requires any input, right, they will add you something like this. That is the called parameters. Let me show you here. This is the thing, right? For example, if my first job is taking something like some parameter like build name, you have to give. This is my one of the input I have to give to my first job called build name. I need to provide it. Or for example, we are giving a description, right? This description we have to give as a parameter. What my parameter name is DES. And here I'll give you, this is my first job. You have to convert some ASCII characters because of the spaces and lots, since you are providing all this as parameters. You don't need to worry about of all this. Just for showing all the things, I'm just showing you here. Okay, this is one thing. So you would pass this particular input as a parameterized. For example, here question mark means, hey, this is the host of a Jenkins, and please trigger this job name, and this job requires one parameter called DESC, and the value of that particular parameter is this one. And if we have something, another parameter, again the same thing with the DESC1 name and some value like this. So this is called a parameterizing a job. So this will come for you as a requirement for you also, because most of the times you have to write a pipeline or Jenkins pipeline with a parameterized, because you should be using a one single job for the multiple purposes. Okay, that's why we need to know the parameterizing the Jenkins job also. I know it may confuse you, but remember me, you definitely will be helpful when we are. Sorry? Anyone talking? Okay, fine, no problem. Okay, let's continue here. and this is my first Jenkins job, and this is not a parameterized job. For example, this is a GitHub project, and here you have to give a advanced one. I mean, we have to give the GitHub. Okay, my voice is breaking. Is it clear now? Is it okay now? And someone else confirm me for me. Hey guys, am I audible? Looks like I'm audible from the settings. Okay, right, cool. Okay, thank you. So you just need to, what I'm gonna do is in this freestyle job, I'm going to clone one of the GitHub project, which from my GitHub. Okay, for example, let me take okay, this is one of the declarative pipeline which I have written for one of the microservices. We can explain it later. But the thing is, I'm looking about one of the CIR DevOps, AWS Terraform, SonarCube. So fine, let's take this as directly here because this is my GitHub project. I'm cloning it. I'm copying this URL. Here, this is my project URL. Okay, I've just completed the general phase description, general stage information. Let's talk about the source code management later. Is your source code management is nothing, or you want to create with the Git? What does it mean here is, if you select the Git, it will ask you the respective information. Again, this is a repository URL. In order to access this particular repository, I don't have any credentials. So for that, I need to add it. If I click on here, right, it will ask me to add my Jenkins username and password here itself. Okay. And either you can add it here itself. Otherwise, there is a one more section we have to configure under the dashboard. Under the dashboard, manage Jenkins credentials. Here you would be adding your GitHub username also here, because we have to really talk about manage Jenkins options. Most of the options or most of the administrative related information should be found here. We have to learn about this also. Once the basic job creation is done, we will talk about this. What is the system, what tools, what kind of a plugins, security related credentials, how do you create users, system informations, everything we will be learning here. Okay. And where are we here? So I'm going to add my credentials here. So it is asking, it is a global, and if my username and pass, if my authentication with the username and password, I would be giving here. Otherwise, sometimes, right, most of the times in real time, they won't authenticate with the username and password. They will be authenticating with the SSH username and private key. Private key is a PEM file uh, PEM file or PPK file. I think from Windows, it seems PPK to log into the remote machine. So this is one way of authentication generally. Okay. And currently now mine is username and password. And it is a global credentials. Global credentials means what will happen is, if I create creating another job, even other jobs can also able to see my credentials also. Credentials means they can able to use this username and password. Basically, if you want to restrict, right, you can restrict with only particular job, that too only a few things here. Okay. 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 Okay, username and password. and my username is Naren. Let me check what is my username. Naren970. Okay, and password is this one. I don't know. I have to try it, and I don't require any of the information. I just add a type of credentials, and now my user can, I mean, my these credentials can access by nodes. I think it's like open for all kind of thing within a Jenkins. Nodes means slaves here. Only these can access. We can configure something like this. Okay, here it is, and add it here. I just added this one. Let's see if can able to pull something here. Actually, it should show whenever we added something here itself. I mean, whenever we done any credentials, it should show whether it's able to authenticate it or not properly. Okay, now we have just configured GitHub related configuration. Okay, and if you want to have something like of this GitHub repository, if you want to specifically pull master branch or dev branch or BAH, specify what branch you want to means basically whatever it may be. But in general, right, we would be specifying something like /origin. Origin means the remote mission. Okay, but let be the star here itself. Okay, like this you can just mention all of the information here. Okay, so you just configured what GitHub repository, what are credentials, and which branch you want to build. Okay, right? If you want to cancel it, you can just cancel it by default. If you give like this, it by default it will give the master branch. Okay, now next one is a trigger, build triggers. I mean, what is the how to build a triggers? Okay, either is this triggering with the periodically? Periodically means if you specify some kind of a time, you can for every 10 minutes of every day at 1 o'clock, or every 10 minutes you can trigger this build. Like this, you can mention here. You can schedule some kind of a cron job here. Okay. Otherwise, there is some more options. Build after other projects are built, meaning you just created a project called my first job, and there are if there are some other project out there, you need to build this. I mean, you need to trigger this particular job only after particular project is completed. If you want such kind of requirement, you can opt this. Otherwise, you can just ignore it. Okay, this is another option. This one is trigger builds remotely. This is where this URL will come into picture, and especially when you want to trigger from the GitHub. For example, your voice is breaking sometimes. Okay, cool. Okay, let's do one thing. Probably I think I do have some internet issues. Okay. Okay, let's do one thing. Can And instead of me doing it, can someone share the screen so I can guide you? It will also you guys, any volunteer, not like some network issue. Am I audible clearly now? Looks like yes. What I can do is, can someone share screen so I can guide you them like how to deal, and then we can watch it this way. So even others also will be helpful. I mean, you will get also get hands on like Sharanya has done for the GitHub related. Now I want someone, either Sharanya or others also. Are there, first of all, is the Jenkins, did you guys install the Jenkins in your system? I want the answer, guys. If not, fine. Otherwise, we can continue. But make sure at least by the next class, you should have your environment ready. Looks like no one has done it. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, let me switch back to another network. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, guys, is it clear now? Okay, let me share back here again. Okay, I hope you can able to see my screen. Now where are we? Yeah, we were been talking about the build triggers. Okay, so under the build triggers, I mean, you are basically telling you are triggering this particular build or you are triggering this particular job remotely. How? This one. Give this Jenkins URL and then paste it here. This particular token name is there, right? We have to create in the credentials sections that I'll also show you. Okay. This is how you would be looking Jenkins URL, right? My Jenkins URL is this 8080. Okay, and this one, the token would be something like this. We need to create it also. There would be something 24 characters of the token. So you would be configuring, I mean, you would pass this particular one line of code to someone who want to trigger your build job directly, build job remotely. So if you want to trigger that way, this is an option. Okay, this is another option. And if you want to periodically trigger this build, you need to tell something like schedule like this. Totally, I think 6 or 7, I guess. 6 by 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, this is going to be. This is a cron scheduler. We would be using it. Okay. If you want to trigger this build, if some other projects are completed, it depends on some other project. If that particular project means, again, it's a job only. Don't think it's a different one. It's a job only. If that particular job build is stable, you trigger this. Or even if that particular job is been unstable, you just trigger it. Even if that particular job is failed, please trigger this. always trigger if anything is happen other than, I mean, along with the stable, unstable, failure, and aborted. Any case, you just trigger it. If you want this job to be triggered in these cases, you please opt this. Like this, we do have a lot of I mean, options to trigger this particular job that you are going to create it. I don't want it right now, so just as it is. Okay. There is another option called a polacm. I mean, as I think we were been talking in a GitHub, if any of the commits is happened, right, it should automatically get trigger this. That then this is where you would be choosing this, and you would be mentioning what you need to do and how to do that. Everything you would be mentioning. Just uncheck it because we don't want to go in depth, but this is a just glimpse, because all of the requirements will be within this only. Someone will, once you join as a DevOps engineer, right, or if you are working, you may get a requirement like you need to integrate this Jenkins job with the GitHub or Bitbucket. Okay, so they will tell you only if development branch is committed with the Jira ticket number. That is a requirement. So you would come here and then trigger remote builds, and then you would write some logic on the GitHub side saying that if every commit is having a Jira ticket, then only commit it or trigger. You would be writing in the GitHub side itself. This is how the some of the requirements will come here. Now, as of now, we are not opting any of the triggers. We will be manually triggering it. So I'm not opting any of the options to trigger my job. Okay. So now let's add one more thing here. Build environment. Like, is your project is depends on which project, I mean, which tool. It is Java, Maven, Groovy, I mean, Ruby on Rails, any of the things. You can just mention of all these steps here. Okay, if you don't want, you can just ignore it. Meaning, if you want any specific information like with and these options are will be get increased based on the plugins that you install. For example, if you install the plugins, or if your project want to related, if your project is related to the Docker, you have to install the Docker related plugins. Once you install the Docker related plugins, the options also will be get increased based on the plugins that you have installed here. Okay. Currently, my particular build or my particular job does not require any of the environments based on whatever is mentioned here. I just need, this is the shell script. If you install the Maven, generally we should install the Maven plugin. Then we'll get Maven related options. But fine, now I can just execute one shell script. Where is this? What happened? It should show actually. What does it happen? It should show some other things here, like where you can enter what shell script that you want. Under the post action, yeah, it's got, it's somewhat delayed here. Okay, I don't require this. This is the one. So if you want to do something like this, right? Okay, what does it happen? Actually, it should show, allow me something here itself to enter what shell command that you want to execute for this build steps. I'll just write mvn compile because my project is depends on the Maven related, or I just type like echo hello world from a Jenkins, just a small Linux command, it would automatically execute. What does it happen? It should allow something like this. Why is that happening? Can someone try from your side if you are also getting the same issue? Because sometimes, right, the particular version will have some kind of an issues. My version is 2.4.401. Okay. There is one thing I need the confirmation from you guys. Can you try or check on your side also if you are also getting the same issue? Or let me refresh here itself. Of course, we may lose the changes. Okay, understood. Why? Because my IP got changed, right? Since I changed the network, but looks like just 1 minute, guys. I'm just finding out the correct IP address of my missions. Sudo, just 1 minute. Guys, I'm just finding out all my information. I hope you can see. Since I have changed my network, right? The IP address of the VM got changed. That's why we have been not getting the same previous this one. Okay, my IP address is 145.168.145 dot, okay, 145.82, right? Colon 8080. Yeah, this is the things. This is my things. These are my things here. Okay, this is my first job. And these are the some of the things. Okay, right here under the configure. So one thing, guys, for example, if you want to re-edit the existing jobs, what you need to do is you navigate to the dashboard and select the job that you just created, and then go to the configure now, and then you would back to the creation of a particular job phrase here. Okay. Okay, same thing. Again, I have to configure everything. This is my first job. And this is a GitHub. Of course, we don't require of this. This is a GitHub. This is where we have to give it here. My GitHub clone project is this. And this one, are there any credentials? Yes, they use this credentials. And I don't want any specific things, but still let it be with the master. And then do I need any trigger configuration of this build? I don't want as of now. And I don't require the build environments also. For example, if I want any specific requirements, like if my job want to get build, I require a Docker. So you have to check something related. For example, if you want your build to be successful, you require a and. If you click on and here, so you will get to know, it will tell you the and plugins and everything information here. Okay. Now under this, execute a shell here. Yeah, this is the shell commands that you can use. Echo, I am from my first Jenkins job. Okay, this is the first statement that you can give. Or if you want to click who am I, this is one of the Linux command. You just type, I mean, whatever you want, just type it. Okay, these are the some of the things. And if are there any other build steps that you want to include? other than shell. Okay, if you want a Gradle script, you can use it. If you want a Windows related, you can use it. If you want something related, all these things here. One more thing is, if you install any plugin, that plugin related build steps will be populated here itself. Meaning the list can be very huge based on the plugins that you install. Since we did not install the much plugins, we are just getting here. For example, if we install the Maven related plugins, right, we should be getting a Maven related execution steps here itself. So we can just select and then tell it just the phases of it. Okay, we will try that also, but let me try with the basic one. Once my build is done, what should I do? Yes, you have some post build actions you should try. For example, you can send the email notification. You can tell to the Git saying that, okay, Git publisher, I'm done with the Jenkins job, and broadcast it to the GitHub events. And then if you want to archive the artifacts, meaning for example, if your build is generating some jars, if you want to archive those, you can use this. It will tell you which files I should archive and when. You can find all the information here. As of now, let it be, because we have to configure each and everything. But I just want something, just general information. That's it. Okay, I want just Git publisher. I don't want anything. Just let it be here. These are the best options generally. I'll tell you. Just now, let's save it. Once you save it, what will happen is automatically will get build it. Okay, let's see. It is this now. Okay, now you just need to build now, meaning you are running or you are triggering this job here itself. Let's see. Yeah, this is where it has been running, triggering. Let's see the information, what is happening here. Yeah, it is trying to, let's understand, started by this user running the system, and it is using the workspace. This is the library, or this is the directory where the Jenkins is using. For example, under the workspace, if there are 50 jobs, you would find the 50 folders with the job names here. And by default, Git is already been installed here. The credentials, which is trying to use this, which is a key. And this is the repository, which is trying to access, which we have configured in the build configuration information. And these are the some of the information internally which Git is trying to do this. Okay, and it is trying to clone this Bamani core of a master branch, and it is trying to do that. Looks like it cloning because it's found some of the information. First time build, skipping catalog, and it is executing my jobs. I mean, whatever the shell commands which I have given, right? Echo from my first job. Plus means the commands that you have given in your job. Without plus means the output of the previous command. That is what here. So since you have given a who am I, it just displayed the username which logged in, that is a Jenkins user, and you just IP config. This guy is saying it's not found because maybe we did not install it here. Since it is a not found, the entire failure has happened. The job itself is as a failure. Let me check if I do have IF config. IEF config, not IP config. Okay, let me rerun this. Go to this, go to my first job, configure, and just change your execution. IEF config. Even if any of the commands fail, entire job will be get failure. Okay, save it here. The major difference, guys, apply and save, right? If if you're changing, if you, for example, you are changing it here, you are modifying the existing job, and if you just click on save, what will happen is it will save it and then keep it as it is. But if you click on apply, it will save it and apply on the existing jobs also. Existing jobs means, for example, when by the time of when we're clicking save button, if any build is happening parallelly along with by now, it will automatically apply on the running builds. Okay, that is the major difference. This may also ask some of the questions. Okay, now let's save it. Let's save it. Click on build now, and automatically another would be populated here. Yeah, this is the one. And just click on this. Yeah, build is successful within very 5.4 seconds itself. Let's see the output out of it. Yeah, same thing started by this guy as a system. This is the workspace. These are the information, and it is just executing all of the information here itself. Okay, so this is an IP address of the VM, which is this is a just creating a basic Jenkins job. Okay, we will try another one with this project. Let's clone one project, compile it. I mean, we do, if you remember, we learned something, MVN clean, MVN package, MVN install, MVN package we have learned, right? We will execute the same steps here itself. Okay. And then at the same time, we will publish that particular artifacts also, meaning once we execute MVN package, it generates one jar file under the target folder, if you remember, right? That is an artifact. What we do is we will publish that artifact into another repository, artifact repository called either Nessus or JFrog. Okay, we will learn that particular also. I mean, that is just a half an hour class or something. I don't think also is fine. Even if we skip, that is also fine. But still, you need to remember, if someone tell you some artifact repository means they are talking mostly either JFrog or Nessus repository. That is the place where people would be storing their artifacts. Artifacts can be a jar or tar or a configuration file or anything, most of the things. Okay, that's what we do. But I hope this would be clear. What we have just, this is a very, very basic thing. Okay, to understand you the terminologies, to understand you how to create a job, how to create a how to configure it, how to run it. This is just basic. Later on, I mean, in the next way, what we do is we will be configuring something also, like as I mentioned here, right? We will take some basic Maven project and compile it, publish that stuff, and down. Okay. Just a 1 minute, guys. Is it clear? Can someone confirm me? Is it clear, or any questions on this? Then we'll go for the next thing, which is very important part of it. I want a confirmation, you guys. The next one which I want is about, I want confirmation, guys. Okay, manage Jenkins. This is very important. We can't able to cover everything in one shot, but at least I want to show something also here. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Sharanya. Ananda, still voice is breaking and screen is slow. Okay, it's clear. Okay. Yeah, I can't do anything other than this, Sandeep, because sometimes network is getting slow. I don't know, it's somewhat bad today. Yeah, thanks, Naveen. So what we do is, guys, by next class, I think at least I request all of you to come up with the Jenkins install. So if we face such kind of an issues, I may require help from you guys, like ask you to share your screen, and then I'll walk you through those, like how to do that and all. So two things would we be getting. One is the person who is sharing and doing will get a hands-on. And the second one is you will also easily understand how others are doing, right? So since I am already been done, right, I'm easy to navigate and all. But since if you are a new to a particular tool, you would struggle some of the things. That's good to learn. That is the sign of learning new things. Okay, just please be come with the Jenkins setups. So it would be helpful in 2 ways, as you would get hands-on, and our session also won't be lag. We'll continue with the whatever is there. Okay, thanks for everyone's confirmation. Now what we are talking about is under the dashboard, especially the manage Jenkins here. Under the manage Jenkins, this is the place where we want to configure everything. Okay, so since I'm an administrative privileged users, I'm able to see each and most of the information here. System configuration, security, status information, troubleshooting, tools, actions, and everything here. Let's go to some of the Jenkins documentation. Reading a Jenkins documentation is very good and very useful, because that is only the truth of source. What is that? Source of truth, I say, to understand different configuration and changes here. Okay. Now I want to understand something related to the managing a Jenkins. Okay. Yeah. System configuration group, security group, status information group, troubleshooting groups, right? These are all the settings that we need to: system configuration, security, status information, troubleshooting, all the things we would be finding out, all the documentation here. Okay. So for example, I want mainly look at the plugins information here, which is under the system configuration group. Let's talk each and everything, but as of now, let's talk about the plugins. This is important. Then we will talk about remaining things in the next class. Here I want to talk about plugins here. Yeah, under the system configuration. See, these are the plugins which are installed here. In the left side navigation, you can navigate with the installed plugins like this. These are all the things which I got installed in my Vision. Okay, let's check if something related to the Maven. Yeah, no Maven plugin is installed on my system. What I can go is, I can go to the available plugin and I can check, I can search for the Maven. Okay, this is the Maven plugin. I need to install it. These are the lot of things related to the Maven here. Okay, right? If you see here, each and every plugin will also showing you the vulnerability information. Hey, this plugin of this version is having a stored cross-site scripting vulnerability. So you please be aware of this. If you install this plugin, you may, or your Jenkins may have a possibility of exploiting via stored cross-site scripting vulnerability. Like this, it will show you whatever the information it found from this guy. This guy is saying, hey, this plugin is deprecated, meaning it's no longer used or no longer supported. Still, you can use it. That's what this guy is saying. It's up to us whether we can continue or not here. And this guy is also CSRF. Okay. This has this particular Maven Cascade release plugin of 1.3.2 is been having a cross-site scripting issue. Like this, you have to read each and every plugins information and then understand whether do you really need it or not. For example, this is fine. Maven integration of 3.2.3, and this will come under the build tools categorized, and this is a description about it. Okay, if I click on this, I can install directly and then do it. But before doing installing that, the best practice is you have to understand about the Maven integration related. I mean, basically you need to understand what is this plugin, what are the options is available. Basically, you are reading this plugins documentation here. Okay. This particular plugin will help you Maven 2 version or 3 versions of the jobs Maven with the Maven configuration. Okay. And this is required Jenkins 1.5, 1.6, 2.54, and 3.27. If your system is greater than of 2.3.57, you require a Java 11. If your Jenkins is greater than of 2.54, you should be required a Java 8 version of it. Okay, like this, they will specify what is the requirement for this plugin. Okay, and one more thing is, if your Jenkins detects that you are trying to JDK folder controller, meaning if you don't follow these rules, if you try to run it, you would find this kind of an error. See, this guy is clearly saying heads up. You would be seeing these errors if you find some older versions are using it. Okay, and let's see here. You can find the Maven related options of this plugin under the freestyle, Maven style project, or pipeline type of project. These are the only types of pipelines you would be finding. This plugin would be helpful. This is the description, how it will work, what are the things here. Okay, and what it can do is automatically configuring the reporting plugins, lot of things it can do here. And you can access this plugins environment variables. These are the environment variables of this plugin. This is how you can use it. Okay, and how do you build, what are the things, this is what you have to read about how to use this plugin. If you don't know how to use it, right, this is you just come here of that particular release and then use it here. That's it. So this is the place to learn, if any, how this plugin would work here. Okay, let's see. Let me install it here. The best option here is install without restart, download now, and install after restart. Why two options are there? Because what if some jobs are in between running? For example, you are just creating you are running some other are also accessing this Jenkins server, and they are also trying to build something. If you do here, if directly like this, it may interrupt their service. That's why these many options are install without restart. Generally, whenever we install any plugin, it has to restart to update something. Okay, then a little. Now I'm just clicking on here and install without restart. See, it is preparing internet connectivity. It's looking for the Java doc. It is looking for the JSCH, which is a Java secured channel, which is related to the shell. It is a Maven integration is going on. It is installing it and loading the installed plugins. Everything was been happening here. Okay. Now I'm done with the installation of a one Jenkins job here. Okay. Now let's check whether it has been installed or not under the installed plugins section here. Yeah, this has been here. Now what you do here is, let's go to our previous build and reconfigure it and check whether you are able to getting a Maven related information under the build sections. Add build here. Yeah, see, top level, invoke top level Maven targets. So you would mention, like, if you remember, we talked about some phases like clean, compile, package. You can find, you can give all the Maven related phases here itself. Maven phases and goals here. Yeah, these are the phases. Maven compile, test, package, install, deploy, everything you can give. The valid goals you can give. If you want some advanced configuration, like you want a specific form, if your Maven contains a multiple form files, right, you can specify which form file, under the which form file, which property that you want to look, and what kind of a Java version that you want to use. If you want to provide some kind of all the information that you can provide itself here. Okay, I don't want an advanced now, just compile it, that's it. Okay, clean compile, save it, and then build it actually. So this is how, when you install any plugin, you would find most of the information here. I don't think it will work. Let's see, let's try here. Compile, yeah, it is failed. It is clearly saying yeah, command execution failed because in this server, in this Jenkins server, I did not tell where the Maven is executed properly. or in this one, I have to log into respective directory, meaning when it is cloned, right? Okay, see it is there is no file or such something like this. Okay, that's it, guys, from my side today. And let's continue. I mean, in the next class, I think probably on Monday, for the creating a one complete Jenkins job. And again, we'll go to the manage plugins. We have to talk about some other important thing as an administrator also. In a day, we will deal with one type of a job, and at the same time, one type of a administration option like syslogs or user credentials on something. This way we don't get a bore, as well as we would be learning in both the aspects, like administrative perspective as in a CICD automation perspective. Okay. Any questions, guys? I want a confirmation from you. Is it clear? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Naveen. That's good thing. But my request is like I want at least I want request everyone to have their own setup. Yeah, you can tell me, is not configured or did you not try it here? Okay, fine. Let's see. But I request please have Jenkins installed in your machine by the next class, so we'll get to know. Yeah, one more thing is I forgot to share you the a Git related assignment. So I'll share you. I forget totally. I'll just bear for a few more days, like Monday. So I'll share you that as well. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Right. Bye.